For over the past 2 decades, Bonita has run an accelerated program that incorporates young freshmen and challenges their intellectual, creative, and charismatic traits in an attempt to prepare these baby Bearcats for their future outside of school. This program is called the CORE program. So in essence, what is the CORE program?
CORE program is a program designed for kids to really learning how to work within themselves. So it's a little different from the academics that we normally do. Normally in a class you come in, you sit down, you do your homework, there's tests. This one incorporates 4 major projects, so there's a lot more cooperative working, stuff like that going on with the students. So a little different in that aspect. Major change, I think, from any of the classes they're usually involved in. You know what's been cool is I've seen many different types of things, and one of the things we do with the second peer, the third one that we work on, is we have them actually get into groups, and we group them based on how they test it out. So we try to get kids that maybe are more outgoing with the more creative, and the less outgoing, maybe they're more book savvy. So we give them these aptitude tests to kind of determine that. And within that we build groups, and in terms of the kids we see, I'd say we see all types. It's really a neat mix. It has been in the past, so hopefully that continues. We see all types.
My own personal theory of what makes somebody an honors student is that they have 3 things. One is an intelligence, and obviously these kids are intelligent. The second is task commitment, which you can see through their grit. And then the third is creativity. It is absolutely worthless to know a bunch of stuff and to be able to regurgitate a bunch of information if you never create something out of it. And so I think that that creative piece is integral for any program. And so they create the boat float thing, they create the Rube Goldberg, they create their ride design, and they're also creating magazines and newspapers. And it just gives them a chance to say, I learned this, and now I'm going to show you how I learned it, and to create something in the process. That without that component, I don't think anything should be called an honors program if it doesn't have that creative component to it.
Thanks to these particular facets, CORE has been able to mold bright students and prepare them for their future endeavors in high school. However, as this particular class of freshmen move in their high school careers, many reflect on this experience as being both eye-opening and exciting, while reciting their favorite experiences as well.
CORE is it's a lot of fun, honestly. Like, everyone thinks it's so much work and like all these projects, but it's honestly the time of your life. My favorite part about CORE is how they just manage to bring so many different subjects together, and it all applies to something. Like, sometimes it's in classes and you think like, oh, why are we doing this, or like, why does this apply to us? But in CORE that doesn't happen.
CORE, probably just the relationships you build when you're put into groups, and we had to build a Rube Goldberg machine, so we had to work together and build that strong relationship and teamwork.
My favorite part about CORE is probably being able to get more in depth with what I'm learning and kind of really figure out the concept, and like not just study it. It's more like you have to be able to figure out all the different like aspects that go into what that actually means.
Probably the building projects. Yeah, those are really fun.
While the CORE program has yielded a great experience for these incoming freshmen and those before them, the program is set to see some major changes in an attempt to continue to set the standard that was set when the program first came into fruition.
Change the name going forward, since we're going to be changing classes anyway. So some of the major changes, we're changing geography to AP, human geography. We're going to change science from a physical science to a biology. So 2 major class changes means also changes in our major products that we put out in terms of our 4 major projects. So we're going to be changing that, and right now we're talking and meeting and trying to fully grasp what changes we can make so quickly. But we're definitely going to keep some of the projects from before, hopefully, because I think they have a place too. But trying to match it up and marry it with AP Human Geography, which is a little different, and Bio definitely is a big change. So.
And then another thing that's changing, we just took this opportunity with the change in the science curriculum to rename it. Because we wanted to give respect to Thompson, Turner, and Clegg that had developed CORE, and now that it's changing, take the opportunity to switch it over, and now it's going to be called Apex. The Apex is the highest point in the mountain, and to get to that highest point you have to work hard, you have to achieve it, but it feels great when you do, and we just thought that word really encompassed what our focus is for Apex, which is persevering, climbing that mountain, and achieving great things, which these 105 kids, we expect that they're going to do great things.
So as the program moves towards the Apex direction, students who are now the latest product of the CORE system look back on how CORE once was and reflect on their favorite group projects throughout the school year.
I like the Rube Goldberg because we used all things that I used as a kid, and we've made it into a machine that works almost every time.
My favorite project this year was definitely the Write and Show, because it was most challenging, and I think it's always good to challenge students to the best of their ability. And we were able to sit in front of engineers, which was a super cool kind of it was a super cool experience, and really just made me think about what I'm going to be doing after high school.
My favorite project in CORE was our first project, was the boat project, and that was just because no one knew how to build anything, and we learned so many skills.
Some people don't go into CORE because they don't want to do group projects, but guess what the future is? Group projects. I mean, that's for most people, that's your career, you're working with other people. And how do you work with other people if one of them just drives you nuts? And how do you work with other people if one's a slacker? Do you just let them slack and you pick up the rest of it? Or do you as a group pressure them in a positive way to start performing? And so those lessons are huge. The performance dynamic in each of the different pieces is huge, because people always list their number one fear of speaking in front of people. And although that might still be a fear, I feel like every student who's ever gone through CORE says, okay, I might be nervous about doing this, but I know I can do it because I've presented to Think Well engineers. So I think both of those components. And then in a lot of classes, students have things that are due the next day, and it's kind of one day at a time, or maybe it's a project that lasts a week. But having been engaged in something that takes the type of follow-through that these projects do, and the problem solving and the staying on task and everything, that's an absolutely invaluable skill to have.
These skills that are obtained through the program not only prepare students for their future in education, but for their future in the workplace. As new students come into the newer program, they can expect an experience that strays away from the traditional setting that they have become accustomed to.
A major difference, again, is the projects, the time that goes into the projects, I think. With the, my regular kids, I guess you call that, to me, in my mind, it's a 9-to-5 job. In that sense, you guys come in, you do what you're supposed to do, there's homework, there's these things that's controlled. And with CORE, it's kind of uncontrolled in a lot of ways, which is good. So Turner used to say it's a controlled chaos. But there's a lot of things that can happen outside that I don't know what's going to happen. I never know what's going to happen with the next project. I don't know what kind of situations we're going to get ourselves in. Sometimes there's clashes within the group. Sometimes there's clashes, down the street with Laverne or, at City Hall, whatever it is. But, you're prepared for it, and that's kind of the cool part to it. Whereas, like I said, my earth science classes, I wish we could experience more. I wish we had more time. The cool part about a CORE class is, since we're all grouped together, we can change hours whenever we want. I mean, I could have a 3-hour class if I wanted to, as long as the other 2 teachers were willing to accept that, which doesn't always happen. But I'm just saying, it's one of those things that we could do that, and that's kind of a neat part with CORE, is that we can really, spend time. Like I said, we're about to go down to the grade schools. We're gonna have 5 field trips to the grade schools here soon, and that's a 3-hour chunk of time that we take out of class, but we're all together, and that's something that's really kind of neat. And I wish I could do that with our science, I really do. That'd be really cool, but taking 105 kids up north or something is a little difficult by myself.
Therefore, CORE is aimed to help students grow not only in their educational lives, but in their overall lives as well. Through projects that require a multitude of character traits, students are able to build themselves while finding out about new abilities that they were unsure of in the past. And that is what the CORE program has been all about for the better part of 2 decades, and that is what Apex will attempt to maintain in the future. Is there anything else you'd like to add in this context?
I think that about does it.